Hey guys, good afternoon. How are you guys doing? Everybody's leg is feeling a little bit better. Thank you so much for coming in. I know it's already a long day, even though it's the first day of the show, but thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you guys being here. So just a quick kind of overview, what we're going to talk about today itself, whoever may not read about the agenda itself. So primarily, our today's focus is going to be talking a little bit about how any of the content owners or any of the folks who are associated in any which way with the content itself, how they can generate new revenues from the archives using our fully in-house AI-built models itself, while still maintaining the full data security. Just a little bit about myself and how I really came about to starting the company Eon Media Corp. So I'm based in Toronto, Canada. I come from myself a media background, being there for 18 years, launched some of the OTT streaming services itself. That's where I know some information and the need for maintaining the data and the content security itself, that how much important it is for any content owner to be able to maintain that itself. And part of that, what we are actually looking to do is, in our company, we wanted to have something that can simplify and enrich experiences for anybody that our technology actually touches. And what I mean by that is not just a cliche or a catchy phrase. I truly mean that. So we wanted to have something that can truly be in the hands of any of the partners or the customers, where they don't have to do things in a typical manner where they got to go through 20 lists of prerequisites, which is something that I had seen in my career, in order to use a new solution that they are actually paying for using itself. We wanted to do something where, because you are actually using our product, they are extremely grateful to you, and we are going to take even small bits of things that you are to do on your side and take it on our side. So we give you a full white glove treatment. That's something that I wanted to have part of this company, and that's what we primarily build part of the company. We are all about transparency itself, while still maintaining everything in-house. And I'd like to welcome my team member, Greg Morrow, and I'll let him do his intro, and he'll go through into more details about some of the ways that we are actually helping some of the broadcasters.
So yes, I did shave my COVID beard before coming up here. Thank you, Ashish, for introduction. Thank you guys for coming here today to learn a little bit about what we're doing. Just a little bit of my background. I have been in the digital video publishing space since 1997. I founded a company to stream music videos online in 1997, and then have followed the evolution of digital video, digital monetization throughout the way, and had a chance to meet Ashish through a shared customer and saw the power of his technology and really wanted to get deeply involved in what he's doing in this stage of the evolution and progress of digital video. So let's talk about a little bit what we're doing. So when we think about the process of realizing value for your content, you have to go through a whole bunch of different kind of internal analysis, the digitization process, how we're going to present the content, what are we going to do it, tagging the content. And that process, what I've found in my past as a publisher or in talking to customers, is that process of media discovery and tagging becomes the barrier to the return on investment, because there's too much cost involved in that process. And so with Eon Media, we wanted to radically lower that cost and increase the value of your media archives, and do that in a way that can be seamlessly integrated into your existing workflow. So, we think about, a lot of companies right now are going through that process of making sure they digitize their assets before their tape libraries fall apart. We went through this process with music videos where we were storing content from the record label that they didn't even have a copy of. So sometimes we'd have to give them back a copy of the content that they own because they didn't manage it well. So, the first, real step in that process is that aspect of digitization, of getting the materials off the source format and getting them into a local asset management system or getting that content in a format that then we can implement kind of step 2 and step 3 as part of that process. So that's something where we can come in, determination of volume analysis of the quantity of content. What is the prioritization of the assets, and provide, an initial estimate for that cost of digitization, which has been going down, over time. So that, that becomes less of a barrier, but also it provides, even if you don't want to do something with the asset in the short term, it provides that safety net that you can realize value out of it. And there's more and more sources for realizing that value, on a go forward basis. And then that second step is really where our technology sings, is providing, a analysis of that content, and realizing from just a digital video file a whole set of information about those videos. And so we do that in a number of ways. As Ashish said, we have an in-house suite of models. So we're not relying on third-party technology in order to do this. We're not relying on third-party services. So we have control over the systems. We have control over the workflow in order to create that value. By the way, I didn't mention this up front. If people, sometimes you do Q&A at the end. If you guys do have a question in the beginning, just raise your hand and I'll go interactive in the middle. So that extraction, using the AI technologies to extract value from the content. And then that final step is providing a monetization. So that's really done in 2 key ways. First and foremost is, putting the content and the metadata back into your existing workflow, digital or broadcast systems, so your content's more discoverable and programmable in your existing media environment. And then secondly is, as part of the suite of offerings we have a CMS and a digital storefront that creates a workflow for licensing your content and making that discoverable. So we have customers that are taking their archives, they're digitizing those assets, and then presenting those for sale. And instead of having a legal team have to review every single contract and determine the price, we create a workflow system that makes it very simple for a customer to manage that process and realize that value without adding staff or infrastructure in order to do that. So what do we need in order to be successful for you guys? So all we need is the files, or all we need is the tapes. And so, some people say, okay, what is required for this? There is very little required. We pick up the pieces from there and then we extract that value on your behalf. So what exactly do we do? So, when we think about our models, there's a couple different models. We pull audio analysis models, computer vision models, and then text analysis models. And so we have a suite of models that we run the content through, frame by frame analysis, just to recognize objects in the video, recognize places, recognize people. And so even if the video does not have audio in it, we can still extract and generate value from that video file in order for you to realize it. And so, whether that is some set of information. So obviously there's more you can do if you have an audio transcript as part of that process that we can do, but there's certainly still value that can be generated from non-audio asset files. And then we provide that in a searchable CMS that also allows for, analysis of the content, both kind of real time and library value, to understand kind of what's in it. So there's the first step of actually extracting the metadata. And then that second step of part of that value chain is providing insight into what your content is. And so analytics in terms of information around the content, present those in simple to consume charts, and graphs. And then second, as part of that value creation, that store, is we watermark in several different layers to protect those assets as part of that licensing model. So, that the content can escape into the wild without a problem. So here's an example of those insights that we provide, whether it's, leveraging kind of the age analysis model or some of the word cloud analysis of the content to see, the repetition, the semantic, emotion of the content. What trends are you seeing within your content that allow you to kind of get that deeper insight, not just on archival content, but can be run on ongoing assets as well. And then, in terms of the digital storefront, we mentioned, that enables a new revenue stream. So we, that gives, it's not something that we run on the publisher's behalf. It's a system and a CMS that we manage, but then that workflow gives full control over pricing, who you license to, the terms that you license to, for your content library, or what subset of content you're going to expose to that environment. Again, making that realization of value from those archives. And so we have existing customers that as they're going through and we're processing their content, we're continuing to grow that library, and they're realizing value from that library over time, not waiting for an entire library to be finished before they generate monetization value, both, again, in their existing workflows or in this licensing model. In those existing workflows, an example of realized value is, you've got, audience-based targeting using cookies going away with the mobile devices. And so the value of content targeting and having a richer set of metadata on your content to increase yield in a digital environment is growing in value over time and only getting, more important. So we're going to see, if you guys have worked with companies like Iris TV that has content type targeting from an ad call, our systems can then feed that metadata into those ad calls to enrich the return on investment for your digital content. So, here's an example of, you can scan this to see, WRL Capital Broadcast out of North Carolina is a customer. We've been in the process of digitizing their archives and presenting them out. And so this is a live example that you can go on the web today and see both the metadata that's incorporated in each file. You can go search and see what discoverable assets are on any given term. And you can see that kind of the workflow to submit an offer for licensing of a piece of content. You can designate, in a 1 hour segment, you can designate, I want to license these, 7 minutes or these 5 seconds of this content. So it's also, that workflow of that licensing, the efficiency of that in order for that to then realize value, goes up. So again, WRLarchives.com. If you want to see a live example, we also can do this kind of environment in a private environment where it's only available for your internal systems. It's SSO'd into your existing environment, so it's password protected with your existing workflow. So we have other customers that don't make the information public. They want to use it just for their internal analysis as well. So that's still realizing value from that archive, but just not in a content, in the sale of the content. So as I mentioned, we secure the assets with a visible watermark, an invisible watermark, and an invisible QR code. So again, that content gets out there from the library. You'll be able to track it down in terms of where it is, but then that visual watermark is something that's going to prevent people from actually using it in a real production environment without actually going through the licensing process. So, one of the things we spent a decent amount of time on, in addition to the models that generate the metadata, is really providing an enhanced search capability to then find your content. So it's one thing if you have the metadata and your search tools to based on those terms aren't good. So, whether it's autocomplete, it's, Boolean or wildcard search. So the ability to kind of have some flexibility, using natural language processing in terms of the search funds. So that's an important aspect, again, of increasing the discoverability of your content in that environment, even if you're going back into your production tools to actually use that asset. So let's do a few more screens in terms of the capabilities on the commerce platform, checkout functionality, price management, integrated with payment systems, order workflows, all those aspects that you would think of as a normal commerce function for those digital assets, all incorporated. And that capability is really just a value add that we provide as part of the archival analysis solution. So we don't charge, in addition, an asset management or SaaS fee for this. We provide this out of the box as part of the archival analysis process. So here's an example of a customer that's using the portal in a non-sales way. And one of the key things that Suzuki wanted to do with all their global assets was really understand the liability of the claims that they're making in their marketing materials. And so they had lots and lots of commercials translated in a lot of different languages. So they needed a very easy way as part of their legal department in order for them to realize value when they had some sort of issue come up or they had some questions come up. And so that's another example that's not necessarily direct monetization, but it's cost savings and time savings as part of that process. So in addition, to working with fixed archives, we also work with live sporting events. And so one of the things that we've done is work with NBC, or various, United, affiliates for the, US sport in providing kind of analysis of the content, and ROI. So, real-time logo detection on-screen, presence of logos, and then providing an algorithm that then determines projected value, for the earned media of that logo. And so if you're running sporting events and you're selling big sponsorship packages, how do you prove the value of that on-prem integration into that environment? And so this is analytical analysis with frame accurate analysis of the logo detection, and then a report that can be generated, that shows that customer the on-screen presence, the value of there. So whether that's, obviously a logo on a helmet, backboard, side rail of an environment. And so I think we're really excited about this as a way for leagues and teams to really understand the earned media value of their sponsorships. So, in terms of unlocking that value, here's some statistics that we've seen, from our customers in terms of both licensing costs and, conversion. So you're not, you produce a lot of archives, how can we get that value and earn that value? So they're, being able to license that content in a very fluid way, and generate a high value per minute or per second, is out there. So we've certainly seen that, that is a quick way to realize a return on investment from doing your archives analysis in addition to your existing workflow. All right. So just to recap, all we need is your archive. We want to do this in a way that has zero overhead in additions to you. It automates the extraction, and then we bring it back into your existing workflows so that you can realize value from that content immediately from processing. And then we think about, the business value is, really providing, security mechanism for that content, and fully integrating with no third-party integration. So a lot of, AI companies out there are wrappers around generic technology, and you guys are better served to hire a developer and go connect to that API. We're constantly working with our team of ML engineers in Toronto to improve this technology and refine that technology and provide a unique product in the marketplace. And that is Eon Archives. So I'm going to invite Ashish back up. We've got a new product launching today that we want to share a little bit about that with you.
All right. Thank you so much. So just kind of where Greg was kind of touching upon some of the different use cases that he went over, this product actually opens up new world of possibilities in all the different types of industries itself. It doesn't have to be related to just the broadcasting side. It's other industries as well, including government and all. With that being said, what we are actually announcing today is using our existing product, Eon Archives, we are announcing our own service where we would like to have ability to track every word, every bill, or anything that's actually mentioned in any kind of legislative sessions. I'm pretty sure some, not all of you guys have seen maybe one legislative session. And personally, I have not sat through the entire one because they're just too long and they're just too much that's actually happening in that. There's a lot of time before which any specific discussions are actually happening itself. And it takes a lot of time for anybody to really sift through all that information itself. And not only that, even if they do, it's not something that they can just manually write about the specific information that was communicated in that legislative session, whether it's a bill that's been discussed, whether it's a particular new topic that they want to actually talk about, or they're actually discussing about some other construction or other topic that they want to bring into perspective. So with some of these challenges in mind, we wanted to solve this particular problem of being able to get a detailed and a granular insights in all the legislative sessions that are actually broadcasted, currently starting with US, in some of the states where the journalists, the political analysts, lobbyists, anybody for that matter, be able to get that deeper insight without having to sit through that 3 or 4 hour of session, be able to go exactly in that point in time where the specific point was actually being discussed by. And not only that, be able to use other information from that, like tracking speaking patterns, tracking the overall progress of the bill, going directly to the key discussions, getting information about what were the topics that they were actually talked about, which committees were actually part of these discussions, what was the overall entirety of the audio transcript, breaking down the entire session into separate segments, because each session has an intro, then there is in between, then there is a break, then they resume and all. So breaking that down so you can go directly into all these things. And again, all this we are using our existing product, Eon Archives AI, fully built in-house. And the goal really in this case is to provide the deep metadata that's associated with all these legislative sessions. So not only you can actually get to that, but then the dashboard that Greg actually mentioned, you can actually create that as an insight for your own purposes when you're actually looking to prepare a new article or get some more insights about what was actually discussed in this particular state or in this particular county about a road construction or about a particular topic that you just may have read about somewhere because you did not get a chance to watch the entirety of the session itself. But now you actually have an ability to go there and not just watch it. If you are interested in knowing more about what really happened in those things, you can actually dig deeper into that specific point in time and get even deeper insights, which was not easily and available as of today. This is live as we speak right now. We are currently providing, we already have more than 5,000 sessions part of our portal already itself. The product's service name is called Gov Sessions Insights. We have for all of you guys the access code and the QR codes. If anybody is interested, we would love to have you guys try it, test it out. We would love to get your feedback on what are the things that you guys think that is key when it comes to understanding about the legislative sessions itself as well. Also, how we are actually opening up about the archives that has been there with the broadcasters or any of the content owners. Feel free to join us at our booth. We are just less than a block away from here itself. We'd be more than happy to give you a personalized demo and have more detailed discussions. Again, there are some flyers over there about the product, and then there are some QR code cards that we would love to you guys with that as well. I still have 4 minutes. I'd like to open it up if anybody has any questions for myself or Greg.
First off, thank you for the talk and talking about your product. I do have a question regarding your archive system. Curious if a publisher were to make their archive available, will that also be on your main site as well? It's similar to how the archive library works.
Yeah, so the authorization of the archives being on any kind of library, as Greg was mentioning, is based on the content owner's decision itself. If they want to have it available publicly itself, that is totally on their discretion itself. There is no mandatory part that we actually really have here, that they have to have it on the public portal. It's the use case that they would want to have it. They don't want it publicly available and they just want to partner it up with another broadcaster to be able to license and those things, then it's totally their choice. We are just in this to enable the level of insights and the technology and new monetization opportunities as well.
Is your system limited to audio and video? What about still photos?
Yeah, so we also actually take just still images itself. In fact, we are actually currently working on a project where we have more than 20,000 images that are just of like almost like an event like this, where there's no information about it. For just from the photo itself, we are generating the full information, which includes who was the actual speaker or who were the people actually on the stage, what were the companies they were associated with, what were the topics they were actually could be possibly talked about, which particular event were they at, or anything associated with that as well. And you have a full enriched metadata, because an image may have some description about logo and all, but getting a context behind that particular image is something that we are actually enabling through our product as well.
What about facial recognition?
Yeah, so it includes the faces of the people who are there in that particular image as well. As long as they are known people, I mean, we are kind of bound to everybody's privacy as well. So only people who are in the public domain available itself. Any other question? Oh,
do you have the ability to point your product to an existing S3 bucket or something along those lines? Have your product go in, scan everything, provide the metadata back, and have your product almost seem invisible, pull that data back into our platform, and then we can enhance what we've got going on in our products?
Yeah, 100%. We are very good at working behind the scenes, by the way. So we don't necessarily need to be in the limelight about anything as well. So we can just use RSC. We just need simple read permissions itself. And from there, we'll be able to go through that and generate the metadata, output the metadata, whether it's in the API format or whatever format your systems are, and integrate on your side. And as Greg was talking about, part of our enriching the experiences part, you won't have to pay anything for us to integrate with your systems itself. That's going to be included part of the product, regardless of the system that you guys are using. That's the model that we are actually providing part of our products and the experience. Any questions? All right.